everybody doing? There's some things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I gotta stop doing that. I like drag out some of my words, and then when I'm editing, I'm like, ugh, whatever. Let's talk. Do you guys know how powerful your words are? Do you know how powerful your words are? Why do I feel like it's so hard for me to say the word powerful? But like, your words are really, really powerful. There's like this quote that says, what you speak about, you bring about. And then, you know, in the Bible, it talks about how, you know, life and death and the power of tongues, right? And I don't think that we truly realize how powerful our words are. Like, they really are. You literally have the ability to speak things into existence and create the life that you want to have. Now, I'm not saying that this works with like everything and that like you won't have any disappointments or anything like that, but like in the grand scheme of like creating a life that you want, your words are truly powerful. So I wanted to give you guys some examples. Before I get to that, I remember when I was still working on the fire department, I would go around and I would do like fire safety talks. And in my fire safety talks, especially when I was talking to like elementary kids, middle school kids, high school kids, I would talk about how they can do anything that they want. And they have the power to create the life that they desire, that they want to have. And I would tell them how powerful their words are. And I remember one of the last schools I went to before I quit that job, I remember looking at them and saying, guys, your words are so powerful. Like, you can do anything that you want to do. And there was a little boy on the front row, and he looked at me and he just shook his head like, no, that's not true. And I felt so sad for him, right? To be that young and already feel like, no, I can't do anything that I want to do. Like, life's not going to work out that way for me. I was like, dang, that sucks. I mean, I hope that when he grows up, he can change that like mentality. But let's talk about some examples of things that I've spoken into existence and how I wasn't even like trying to. I wasn't like, I'm going to say these things and then they're going to happen. I just would say them like nonchalantly and believed it like in my heart. And eventually like they came true. So let's talk about it. Number one, my freaking wedding day. Let's talk about this, y'all. So my husband and I got married in May. The weeks leading up to our wedding day, it was like 98 degrees every day for the high. It was hot. No breeze, nothing. It was super hot, right? I remember just telling my husband, babe, it's gonna be fine. I was like, the Lord's gonna bring like a cold front in. It's gonna like rain the next day, but it's gonna get colder because it's gonna prepare for that rain that's coming. I was like, so I'm not worried about it. And I would just say that. Did I really think it was gonna happen? I don't know, but I said that a lot. Many, many, many times. And let me tell you, as it was leading up to the wedding day, we kept like looking at the weather and stuff, and it was saying that rain was coming the day after. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna happen. So then the day before the wedding, it was saying that it was gonna rain on our wedding day. So, you know, the wedding planner was like, hey, let's think of some other options, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't like those options. We can still go with them if it rains, but it's not gonna rain. Like, and I truly wasn't even worried about it. On the day of our wedding, it said it was going to rain, like all day. And it did rain in parts of the city. But let me tell you, y'all, it did not rain. Not one drop of rain anywhere in the vicinity of where we got married. And we had an outdoor wedding. You saw if you watched my video last week. It didn't rain. And let me tell y'all, I'm getting goosebumps. The most amazing thing, besides the fact that it didn't rain, it was literally like 70 degrees and there was a breeze. Y'all, I couldn't have spoken any better. I was like, Lord, oh my gosh, like you literally made my day perfect for me. And I was just saying that stuff, just to say that stuff. I was like, hey, it's no big deal. There's gonna be a cold front. It's gonna come through. It'll rain the day after, but it's gonna, get prepared. It's gonna be cool on our day. It was cool on our day. It was amazing. Like, it was one of those times where, and I know that sounds silly, and it's like, yeah, whatever, okay. Like, it didn't rain on your wedding day. It was cool on your wedding day. There was a breeze on your wedding day. But I feel like that was a lot to ask for in May, especially when all the other days were almost 100-degree weather days. That's one example of how your words are so, so powerful. And I just kept saying it like over and over again. And I didn't like doubt it. I just really felt, I was like, I literally was not worried. I literally had not one concern about the weather. I was like, it's fine. It's gonna be cool. And we spent all this money on fans for our guests and like towels for the men so they could like wipe their sweat. They didn't even need those towels. They didn't even need those fans. It was that cool. Anyway, number 2. You guys know I got a Jeep, right? I have been wanting a Jeep since I was 22 years old, right? I remember I was a teacher. I had my little desk, and next to my desk, you have the little bulletin board dillies, and I had my little vision board on the board. And on my vision board, there was a picture of a yellow Jeep. Do I have a yellow Jeep? No, but we'll talk about that. But I have a Jeep. I used to have a Saturn, and then it was time to get another car, and I got the Nissan, and I didn't even think about the Jeep. And I was like, why didn't I think about that? Whatever, it wasn't the time. I kept thinking, I want a Jeep, I want a Jeep. But, I had done the Dave Ramsey plan with the Financial Peace University, and I was not into getting back into all of this debt. I was like, nah, it's not time. Like, when I get my Jeep, I want to be able to pay cash for it. I don't want to have not one bill. Fast forward, my Nissan is like 10 years old. She's actually turning, she turned 11 the other day. It was her birthday. Anyway, so she's 11 years old, right? And she had a little wear and tear on her. But I was like, I'm going to ride this thing until the wheels fall off, because she's been a great car, and I'm not just going to go buy a car just to buy a car. Like, that's money. You know how much Jeeps cost? Expensive. My mom and I took like a couple of mental health days from work, and we went out to this tiny house on a lake and just had mother-daughter time and relaxed, and I journaled and all of that kind of stuff, right? And I remember on the way driving out there, my car felt a little funny. But nothing happened. I was like, okay, cool. On the way home, it started to kind of like rattle. And literally right when we got around the corner from my house, it started to go. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like, it literally just stopped. I'm so grateful that we were like, I could literally see my house when it started doing that. So we made it all the way back. I couldn't drive it. I couldn't drive it at all. Got the tow truck to come out, take it to the mechanic, see what was going on. It was the transmission. So it was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's time for me to get a Jeep, right? And I was, I guess, a little sad about it, because I knew that at that point in time, I didn't have $40,000, $50,000 saved up in order to just pay cash for a Jeep. But at the end of the day, I couldn't drive this red car, so I needed another car. So I looked online, I found it, I went up there. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I want that Jeep. Took it for a test drive, baby came with me. And yeah, got it, right? Drove home that day in a Jeep, a white Jeep. And I was so excited and so happy. So fast forward, I decided to sell my house, right? Sold my house, made a profit off my house. I was able to pay the entire Jeep off. And I used to always say, I'm not gonna have a note on my Jeep. Like, I'm not paying a car note on the Jeep. I'm gonna have a Jeep. I'm gonna pay it in cash, right? And I kind of got to do that. I literally paid one note, 1 month. And then I got the money for my house, and I was able to pay it off. So exciting. So exciting. I don't know. I just feel like it really shows how powerful your words are. I always said I didn't want to have a note on my Jeep. I wanted to pay cash for it. And it didn't happen the way I thought it would, but the end result was still the same. I have a Jeep that I haven't even had for a year yet. I've only had for 6 months, and I have no car payment. And then fast forward, which this is not a part of this conversation, I was able to get my my red car fixed. So now I have 2 cars with no payment. Like, it's what I always spoke. I'm gonna have my red car, but then I'll get a Jeep, and that'll be like my fun weekend car. And that's exactly what I do now. I literally drive the red car when I'm going to work, and on the weekends, I'm in the Jeep. Like, your words are super powerful, guys. They are really powerful. Okay, let me give you one more example. Number 3. Last week in the video, I asked if you guys could guess what career change I made, or I'm in the process of making. This next topic has to do with that career change. Drum roll. What career am I switching to? Boom, you guessed it, flight attendant. Yes, going back to being a flight attendant. I used to be a flight attendant in 2015 through 2017 with American Airlines. And so now I'm in training to become a flight attendant again. But let's talk about that. When I left the air industry, I would always say, oh yeah, I'm going back to the fire department so I can make more money and pay off my debt, and then I'm just gonna go back to being a flight attendant. I told that to everyone. Everyone. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just here so I can pay off my debt. I'm gonna go back to being a flight attendant. Fast forward, it's 2020, March, beginning of March. I paid off all my debt. Freaking debt free, right? Yes, so excited. Now I'm going back to be a flight attendant. No, you're not. Guess what happened? The freaking pandemic. They weren't hiring flight attendants, right? So I was like, well, the Lord put a wrench in my plans, but that's okay. So I continued on with my job, and that's when I was able to go and hike the PCT. And when I came back, they liked watching my videos on YouTube so much, they wanted me to start helping with videos for the fire department. I started doing that. I had so much fun doing that. It did not feel like work. It was a joy to do those things. And I like that with that job, I could bring in like my own personality and different things, especially when I was doing presentations and stuff. But anyway, that's not a part of this conversation. Let me get back on track. Through all of that, I still said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go back to be a flight attendant. And even my boss, he would say, you know, in a couple years when you go back to being a flight attendant, like he would say that to me, and I would just like laugh. I didn't know when it was gonna happen, but I knew it was in my heart to do that. Fast forward, I have a friend who's still a flight attendant, and she messaged me and she was like, hey, just so you know, they're hiring again. I was like, appreciate it. Put an application, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm in flight attendant training. You'll see a video on that later. I always said that. And one of the funny things was that my cube mate, Swanigan, what's up? When I told him that I was going back to being a flight attendant, and he was like, dang, like you really spoke that into existence. You said that a long time ago, that that's what you were gonna do. And I was like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if these are compelling stories, if they're compelling enough for you to be like, oh my gosh, my words are truly powerful. But I hope that it is. And I'm sure that you guys have lots of stories about speaking things into existence. But let's go a little bit further, guys. Because our words are so powerful, it's important that we really look at what we're saying, right? If we have the power to create things in our life with the good things, guess what? There's always a flip side to that coin. That means that we have the power to create things in our lives that aren't so great. And if that's the case, we gotta be careful with what we say. And sometimes we just say things like nonchalantly, like whatever. But by us saying that, and us continuing to say that, and continuing to reinforce those words, we are creating that in our life. I just wanna encourage you guys to just think about what you're saying. Like, what do you want for your life? Like, What is your vision for yourself? Write it down. I love paper. I got notebooks everywhere. Write it down. Start speaking these things into existence. I used to use affirmations so much. I haven't used it in a long time, but I guess kind of how I say things is like an affirmation. If you don't know about affirmations, look them up. Man, let me tell you, I used to have a little note card I carry around with me with my little affirmation on it. I should have talked about that. So many of those things came true too. Okay, do you guys want to hear one more story? Okay, one more story. Back when I was a teacher, I had decided that I wanted to be a firefighter. I remember first year I applied for Mesquite Fire Department, and I didn't make it. Not at all. I was really sad. Like, I was devastated. Like, I cried. And I remember on my lunch break, when I was a teacher, on my lunch break, I went to Walmart. I went to the kids section, and I went and I looked for Legos, and they had a firefighter set Lego, and I bought it. And I went home and I put it together that night, and I was like, I'm gonna be a freaking firefighter. I'm just gonna have to wait a little while longer. Fast forward, the next year, I applied for Mesquite and Dallas. So with Mesquite, I was number 54, and they only took the top 50. With Dallas, I was in there, right? So I remember that I had to do CPAT. It's like a ability, agility, whatever kind of test for you to be able to get on. And so, y'all, I wasn't doing good at this test at all. I was training, I was working hard, and each time I would have like a practice one, like leading up to my main one, I couldn't even make it past the first thing, which was walking on the Stairmaster. You can't hold your hand, and you had to have 75 pounds of weight on your back, and you had to do that for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I couldn't get past that. I wasn't even on there for a minute. So I remember I wrote down this like affirmation about how on the day of my test, when I took the agility test, that I felt as light as feathers, and it felt like an angel was carrying me through the test. And it was a breeze, and I made it into training, and I was in the top of my class, and I said all this crap, right? And so I would go to the gym, and I would practice, and I would do all of these different things, and every single day I would say that affirmation. I would say it over and over again in the morning and the night. I remember my mom would be like, do you want to be a firefighter? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, how are you going to feel if you make it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so excited. And she was like, oh, how are you going to feel if you don't make it? And I'm like, I'm going to be really sad. And she was like, well, get up and go to the gym and get on the Stairmaster. Fast forward, I had the test. The test went well. I had forgotten all about my affirmation, right? Forgotten all about it. Later, when we were moving from one of my parents' houses, I was opening their drawer because I was cleaning things out, and I found that affirmation, and I read it. And I was like in disbelief. I was in shock, because all of the things that I put on that form, on that note card, came true. Literally, the day of my test, it felt like an angel was carrying me through. It was a breeze. It was a breeze. It was crazy. I don't even know. I have no words. It was a breeze. I was in on the hiring list after that with the interview. I think I was like 5 or 6 on the list out of like 200 people. So I was in the top. Like, all of these things I said came true. Affirmations are amazing. Your words are powerful. Think about what you're speaking. I don't know. I hope that this registered with someone, and I hope that you realize the importance of your words and what we say and what we speak every day. And I hope that this encourages you to maybe change some things. Maybe add some affirmations into your daily life. But guys, you deserve to have the life that you want. And you can. And picking and choosing your words carefully can help you get to that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys again back here with Outside with Lonnie Shot. You guys have a great day.